Welcome to the podcast From Coffee to Cases, the show for small law firm attorneys who want to stop begging for leads and start building a business that runs on referrals and real relationships.
Welcome back to From Coffee to Cases with Delisi Friday. Delisi is the founder of First Call Friday, where she helps lawyers grow case referrals with clarity and confidence. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, and today we're talking about how to spot trouble in a referral relationship and what to do about it, ideally without burning bridges. Delisi, welcome back.
Hello, thank you.
All right, so what are some early signs that a referral relationship might be risky?
I think the first one, and it's the most common, is lack of communication. So if you refer a case to someone and suddenly you're getting ghosted and no one's returning a phone call or a text, that is the number one most common sign that I see when a relationship is starting to go south.
And what do you mean by that? Like you're saying, basically just that they're not responding to you, so they don't want to do business with you? Is that kind of what you're saying?
So I'll give you a specific example. I see this in personal injury, and this is actually one of those reasons why some lawyers get a little hesitant to refer a case and or partner on a case. And what I mean by that is, say a personal injury law firm refers a case to another firm and they're partnering on the case, they're sharing joint responsibility on the case. A clear sign that the relationship is going south is when one of the attorneys is no longer in constant communication with the other attorney. So if you're following up to see, hey, where are we on A, where are we on B, where are we on C, and that attorney isn't returning a call, they're not returning a text, they're not returning an email, they're never in the office, then that's usually a pretty big sign.
Sort of like a relationship, a girlfriend or a boyfriend. It kind of sounds like a little bit.
Yeah, ghosting doesn't just happen in your personal life.
Yeah. What should you do if you're continually referring business or referring cases to someone, but you get nothing in return?
So that one's a little bit different, and I have mixed feelings on it because I also think there's a place for those relationships. And what I mean by that is, let's say I am going to refer a case to a law firm, and it's because they're in a different practice area. So let's say I'm a personal injury law firm, but one of my former clients says, hey, I'm getting a divorce. I'm going to refer a case out to the referral partner I have who handles family law. I don't know how frequently my family law referral partner is going to send a case back to me. So that consistency of referrals going back and forth might not be happening with a relationship like that because they just don't have the cases to refer. So I think there's a place for those relationships where I'm going to refer a case to this law firm because they're in a different practice area that I am not. But I also understand that that kind of referral isn't going to happen every day. So I shouldn't expect a referral to come back either. Now, if I am in the same practice area, and let's say, for example, I love to use personal injury because I have so much experience with it. So I'll give you an example in personal injury. If I handle personal injury cases, but I don't handle premise liability, like a slip and fall, then I'm going to refer all those cases out to a lawyer who does. And I might expect, because that lawyer also is in the same practice area, if they get a commercial case or a dram shop case and they don't handle those, I'm going to expect them to refer a case back. And so if I'm expecting that and I'm not getting it back, you should have a conversation with that attorney and say, hey, Kevin, I'm referring all of our premise liability cases to you. We handle commercial cases and dram shop cases, and I would love for this to be a mutually beneficial relationship for both of us. Do you have commercial cases and dram shop cases you can send to me? And that opens the door to the conversation. And it's a conversation you have to have because you can't assume that the attorney you're sending these premise liability cases has a commercial case or dram shop case to send to you. So
Hmm.
you do have to have that conversation because you can't just assume, oh, okay, we're just going to refer back to each other. Well, you don't know what kind of cases they get and if they can. So you need to have that conversation.
That makes sense. Are there situations where people might feel like they're being used in these situations then, where maybe even to the point of someone being unethical or irresponsible?
Whew. Okay, Kevin, we're getting heated in this episode. So
Ooh, all right.
let's just open up Pandora's box, baby.
Gloves
Okay.
off.
Yes, I see it happen in personal injury. And when I tell people I love referrals, they will all give me horror story examples like that. And usually I hear it from the law firms who are doing something right. And I use this as a tale of caution to every single personal injury lawyer who is listening to this podcast. If you take nothing away from this podcast episode, let this be your one thing. When you are partnering on a case and it's a personal injury case and you are sending the file to the other partner, I always assume everyone's going to do the right thing and we all have the right intentions. But there are some attorneys out there who hold their referrals and the way they generate cases very near and dear to their heart. So they have spent years to create referral partnerships because they're an advocate of that, like me. And they don't want to share who those referral sources are with their referral partners. And so when you share that case, I recommend to other lawyers, hey, if you don't want your referral partner to see this referral partner over here is how you got this case, remove that information from the intake form. Because on your intake form, everyone always has, how did you hear about our law firm? If they didn't come directly from an ad, they're going to tell you, oh, your former client sent me. Oh, I called this other lawyer and they do family law and they said, this is the personal injury attorney that you call. And if you don't want to share that information, I suggest removing it from your intake form so you don't divulge who your referral sources are. And I'll be honest, I have seen that go south and go sideways. I love to believe the best of every single person, but sometimes when lawyers get a little slow, they they they, uh, they might use that as a way to try and get referrals from your referral source.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, that is craft. It's crafty. It's crafty, but unethical.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
What about like a misalignment of practice style? When does that become a red flag?
That goes back to a very important point, which is making sure you find the right referral partners for you. I'll use personal injury as an example again, because this is one where you can see that happening a lot. Misalignment typically starts to happen in a variety of different stages. It can happen one, during the treatment stage. It can happen two, during the demand stage. And it can also happen during the different stages of a case where you talk about case value. So, what I've seen happen is lawyer A refers a case to lawyer B. And lawyer A says, hey, let me know when client's done with treatment. I'd like to follow along with the case. We have joint responsibility. Great. Okay. So lawyer B says, hey, still treating, still treating, still treating, still treating. And lawyer A is over here saying, what? They're still treating. What is going on? And that starts to become a red flag for them because they think they're treating for too long. The next part where misalignment starts to happen is the demand. So, one of the things that I suggest to my personal injury clients is if you refer a case to another firm and you're sharing joint responsibility, you guys should be talking about how much you're going to send a demand out for. Because if y'all are way too far apart, you're going to have some problems. If
Hmm.
lawyer A thinks this is a $200,000 case and lawyer B says no, it's 50, you've got a problem, right? And so talking about what kind of demand you're going to send out and what you're going to send it out for is another time where you see that misalignment. And I think If you stay in constant communication with your referral partners, you minimize those chances of misalignment, which is why communication with your referral partners is really important.
Kind of backing off that, what is the right way to set expectations before you even start referring back and forth with someone?
That is a great question. I believe before you create a referral partnership with any attorney, specifically when it comes to PI cases, you should be asking yourself 4 questions, because those 4 questions help minimize potential problems in the future. And the 4 questions I ask are: one, how much involvement do you want on the case? If you just want to know when the case settles, send me a check. That's totally different than the lawyer who says, I actually want to go to some of the hearings and mediation, and I want you to copy me on the pleadings. Number 2, how much communication do you want to have with the client? If you don't want to have any communication with the client because that's why you partnered on the case, that's totally different from the other lawyer who doesn't want this client to think they neglected them or just pass them off to someone else. It's a very
Mhm.
personal case to them and they want to stay in touch. That's very different too. And the other question that I ask is, how do you feel about the settlement disbursement? Lawyers don't usually think about this. And I see it kind of blow up at the end when they are on 2 different playing fields because they have different opinions. So if you're lawyer A and you referred the case out, and lawyer B says, hey, we're going to ACH the settlement disbursement, hope that's fine. And your lawyer A is saying, wait a second, but every time we close out a case, uh, I always like to have them take a picture with me, shaking my hand, and we do a happy client post on our social media because that's a part of my marketing. That is something you need to think about in advance as well. And then the last question I suggest they think about in advance is how often they want a case update. There are some law firms out there who refer a case and they say, I just want to know when it's done. Some law firms who say, look, just keep me updated on a mediation date, a trial date, when discovery is over, things like that. And some law firms who send out so many case referrals, they want and need a case update every 30 to 60 days so they can monitor when cases are going to settle. And if you ask yourself those questions in advance, it really helps to minimize that misalignment, because you might be partnering with another lawyer, another law firm who's like, what? No, I'm not going to do that. I don't have time for that. Who do you think is going to do this? I'm a one man show over here. And there are some people who partner on cases and say, you sent me the case to do my job. No, I'm not going to do that. And others, and they only rely on case referrals for their business, and they have an online portal, and they have someone who updates you every 30, 45 days whether you ask for it or not. Asking those 4 questions in advance is super important, because if you don't ask those questions in advance, you might run into problems because you didn't think about them and you didn't talk about them, and that referral partner isn't the right partner for you.
Right, right. I think that's probably an important thing to recognize too, if and when that happens, to just understand that not every sometimes people just don't mesh well, and that's okay. But is if things go quiet or worse get weird, is there a chance of salvaging the partnership, or is it generally best just to go about your separate ways?
I like to call them lessons.
I think I know the answer
Because
then.
you would be, no, maybe you're not surprised, but I do get phone calls from lawyers who will say, Delisi, I have this referral partner and it is just not going right. Can we brainstorm what to do here? Because we've hired experts. We are in this thing and we are not jiving. And so I talk it out with them and say that this is really up to you to decide what to do here. And you need to think about your client too, because when that kind of situation happens, you're trying to consider your relationship with your referral partner not going well. And what you have to remember is in the middle is your client
Right.
who you both represent. And when things are not going right, your client is going to pick up on it too.
Hmm.
And so, can it be salvaged? Yes, it can. But it also means having a challenging or perhaps uncomfortable conversation with them and saying, look, referral partner, here is what I want and expected from our referral partnership. I'm not getting it. And it sounds like when I asked for these things, that's not something you're willing and or able to provide. Let's discuss how we move forward from this point because we still both have a duty to help this client and having that conversation. Maybe having that conversation turns it all around and you guys are great
Yeah.
and you're on the same page and it helps because you didn't have that conversation in advance.
It just needed communication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and just be ready. You might also learn, okay, and this is just not the right referral partner for me.
Trying to getting the nerve up to have that conversation can be tough, I suppose. But I guess lawyers generally like confrontation, right?
Oh, Kevin, you would be surprised, buddy. They may be professional negotiators, but it doesn't mean they're not humans who get
Yeah.
uncomfortable with having uncomfortable conversations.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where you just have to kind of like you just have to get in your mindset. All right, I'm going to do this. It's for the best. It's best for me. It's best for my client. It's best for everybody. Let's just pull the band-aid off and do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today on From Coffee to Cases with Delisi Friday. Protecting your reputation means being thoughtful about who you refer to and why. And if you want to watch Delisi's video on 4 questions to help you find the right personal injury referral partner, head to the YouTube link below in our show notes. And be sure to like and subscribe our channel and share this episode with people that you think would get some info out of it. Delisi, always a pleasure having you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast. And please share this episode with a peer who can also benefit from case referrals. For more information or to connect with me, Delisi Friday, visit firstcallfriday.com.